Welcome back to the Snap Ag YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about how we do our soil solution test or saturated paste analysis that we use as a management test here on our farm. I know that for a lot of you, you might only take a test once a year. This test is designed to give you the ability to make management decisions during the season. So on our farm, I'll use this test for testing my nitrate levels so I can manage nitrogen more effectively on the farm, and I also use it to test several of the key elements within a week to 2 weeks before I plant out each crop, and I also use it as a monitoring test to check out what is in the soil solution as a crop grows. It's been very valuable for us here at Better Together Farm, and I hope that it could be a tool that you might want to add to your toolbox that could help you grow your food better and more successfully, whether it's on your garden or on your farm. So hopefully you enjoy. So the first thing that you want to do is at any time that you are doing a soil test, you want to use a brand new plastic bag so that there aren't any contaminants that could possibly affect the results on your test. Secondly, you want to ID the sample so that you know exactly where it came from. You want it to be simple and usually just a few characters so that it's easier for you to keep track of them and write them down. So what we're going to do here is that first off, we're going to get a cup. This is a Solo cup. I forget what the ounces are. I can add that to the video. But we take this and we take our sample. What I do is I come in here and I add, balance this camera. That's gonna be fun. I add the soil to the cup, okay? And what I do is that I make sure that I ID the cup. So in this case, it's gonna be 3C4 2, okay? And since this is the first one I'm doing, I'm going to put number 1 on it so that I get it in the right sequence. Then you take water. I have this little lab water dispenser, and I then add the water to the sample, like so. Okay, and we are dealing with a fairly sandy soil here. So if you're in a clay soil, might not take quite as much water. And then I take a butter knife. You could use a spatula, but a butter knife is usually better. And I start to do this. And what I want to do is I want to make the sample about the size, sorry, not about the size, about the consistency of peanut butter. Okay, so I'm adding the water in like so. You can see that it's starting to glisten a little bit, and that's good. We want it to glisten when we're all said and done. Add some more water. It's easy to overdo it. So it needs to be able to consolidate. So you make a trench and then you hit it and it should be able to consolidate back, and then you should also be able to flip the test upside down and back over and not lose it. Okay, now at this point, if I was doing a nitrate test, I would pull the sample right away. But if I was doing a saturated paste analysis, where especially I was wanting to test phosphorus, I would then let this sit for 1 hour and then use a vacuum flask and a Buchner funnel to vacuum the water off the soil. So in this case, I'm just going to do it right now for sake of the speed of this video. And I'm going to show you the Buchner funnel. This is called a Buchner funnel, okay? This comes from United Labs. This is the company that makes it, but I get this from Southern Labware. It's a 90 millimeter wide as far as diameter Buchner funnel. And what you want to do is that this here is a vacuum flask, and the Buchner funnel sets right in on top of the vacuum flask, like so. Okay, and then this gasket seals it, and then I have a vacuum pump connected to the Buchner funnel and the vacuum flask to suck the water. But first off, you have to realize that the vacuum pump can be about $300, but they sell kits that have a little handheld vacuum pump, and this is what I started with when I wasn't doing so many tests. So you could always do something like this to start out with. Just get a kit with the Buchner funnel and the vacuum flask, and this go about for $80 on Southern Labware. You also have to buy filter paper. Now this is Whatman number 3, which means it's a thicker filter paper, which is important. And it comes with 100 circles, and this is what goes in. You can see it says 90 millimeter diameter. That's what goes in the top of the Buchner funnel. So I take one of these out, okay? It's like a little wafer. And I take the water that I'm using and I wet the paper. And it has to be wet or it won't seal properly. Then I take put it inside and pat it down around the edges, okay? And then I put it on top of the vacuum pump. Now, what we do is we're going to add the soil. Now, I didn't mention that you use whatever soil you're irrigating with. In this case, this is my well water. You don't want to use distilled water or anything like that, because usually water has a mineral content, especially if it's from a well, and you want that to be expressed in your saturated paste analysis. You want it to be as true to life as it can be. Okay, so now I turn on the, now I need to turn on the pump. You're gonna hear it maybe a little bit, and you can see it starts sucking down here. I'm gonna move this over to add it so I don't bump the camera. And so we load this with the soil, but I also, because I will send my saturated paste test off to a lab, I actually have a little PVC pipe down in here. It's just like a 1-inch PVC pipe, and I actually load it with a test tube like that. These are just cheap test tubes off of Amazon, so that if I want to send it to a lab, I can, and I don't have to continuously wash out my vacuum flask. So now we put this in here, okay? Turn on our pump, and now it's vacuuming into our test tube. You can see that it's stopping to glisten right here, which means that the water is being pulled through. So you see now it's really getting dry now on top. And now what I'm looking for is for cracks, to see cracks start forming in different places. You can see this one here that's starting to form here. You want to start seeing cracks before you stop it. Now you can also see some cracks here forming and there. So when you get to this point and you're starting to see those cracks, that lets you know that you're done. You've about taken all the moisture out that is reasonably going to come out of the soil. So then I will stop my pump, and will break the seal, which you can by putting your finger on this and just popping it up, then dripping any excess in. And then you take your cap and you can screw it on. And you have your soil solution. And this can either be sent off to a lab. Now in this case, I would put a number 1 here. Probably did that backwards. Then I would put here lab number 1. And then I would put the ID down, which is for me 3C42. And then I'm also going to put a nitrate number on here. That's a little wet. NO3. And then it's going to be in ppms of nitrate. Well, thanks for watching. We decided to cut the video there so that it wouldn't become too long, but now you know how to ID a sample, to put it in the little cup, to stir it up and make sure there's enough water added, make sure that it is whatever irrigation water you're using, and then how to put that into the Buchner funnel and to extract the water into a test tube so that you can either use it at this point to take a nitrate test with some test strips at home, or you can send that off to a lab to have them run it through their mass spectrometer. We'll do a video on that later. The next video is going to be how to use the nitrate test strips to do an at-home test so that you can manage your nitrogen on your farm using these little test strips. So please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.